Good evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Inception podcast. I think it is. Anyway, Saturday Night Live. This evening in the UK, we are having another mini heat wave. It's going on. It's going all through to next week, over the 30s. Have no idea what it is over your side of the pond, as you call it.
Hot.
However, we're not used to such heat. So, we do not have air conditioning. But on that one, Brandon, my returning guest, you are the one and only guest that I will constantly bring back onto the show. The reason being, we go off and do our shows. We hear new things, it expands us. We start thinking, discernment, and then we get together and go, what do you fucking think about that? Well,
yeah.
And I love the organic conversation. So, Brandon, welcome back to the show.
Howdy. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this. You're the show that I've been on the most. I've been on your show. The only one more is mine. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I better up that one. And you are returning soon, are we not?
Yes, we're doing this next week.
Next week, we have a very, very special show where Brandon will bring a guest in. I don't want to give too much away yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right.
The advert will go out in the week and everyone can catch it there. And so Brandon will be back next week. I really think he's trying to take over my podcast and my shows.
I'm trying to weasel into a co-host opportunity with you. That's all this is. So we could team up.
I had an idea. Because you flip every time you come on, you flip the show and you interview me. It's become the norm.
It's a game for me. Yeah.
It's a game.
Yeah.
Right. So let the game begin. So,
well, how do you feel about that, being interviewed on your own show?
I think it's fucking hilarious.
See, just did it again. All right, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I know you did it again, and I let you do it again. You know what I mean? Don't forget, call me ma'am. Call me ma'am.
You're so much fun. I adore you so much.
Now, we're gonna cover anything and anything that's right all the way down the rabbit hole, curiouser and curiouser. And as I put on the advert, I wish you could all come with us. So please try, whether you're going to watch this live or whether you're going to watch it on the replay, come down the rabbit hole. However, I asked my returning guest to give me the name of this show. And what did you call it?
I said, what the fuck's going on?
And there we go.
And to be fair, though, you messaged me right back and was like, are you okay? Is everything all right? Yes. And I didn't know that this was sort of a cultural thing with you guys over there across the pond. That if somebody texts you, what the fuck is going on? You immediately think something's wrong. And you want to make sure that my well-being is intact. And
yes, I was really concerned. I phoned him all the way to America because it's out of the blue. What the fuck's going on? And I was like, oh my God, something's happened to Brandon. I'm on the phone. I don't even phone my kids back that quick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she called right away. And I was like, you know what? That's the name of the show. I was just answering your question. And she was like, oh, it's brilliant. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said she loves that.
Once you said, yes, ma'am, I forgave you for my panic. So, and then I obviously, in the conversation we had, I said, what do you want to talk about? And you said CERN. Okay. So we're not going to spend the whole show on CERN because it's not something I want to, everyone's just talking about negative, blah, blah, blah. It's not. But we need to address this because it's happening in our reality at this moment. So you start. What about CERN? We
could at least talk about it. I mean, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about. You see what I did there? Thank you. And so I think that this is, if you take even all the woo-woo, even if you go with all the craziness, the like craziest far-flung idea that at its maximum, what they're doing is opening a portal and summoning in things from other dimensions. Now, I've heard rumors from, that they found a timeline where they're going to collapse our timeline into another one where the Illuminati actually won, because all accounts, like, this is why I'm saying don't be concerned about it. Either way, what you're experiencing right now, whatever that is, the light wins in this dimension and in this timeline every single time. Every time, no matter how they redraw it, they've, even leaked information that's come out of that Project Looking Glass, where they looked ahead and they looked at every single timeline, and in every single timeline they could see the light always wins. It's, no matter how unbalanced or unfair or any of those things that it seems right now. And especially lately, I don't know if you've been feeling this, but there's quite a few folks that are, mentors to me that I look up to. And both of us are swapping like, what the fuck is going on right here? Stories right now. It's been heavy energy. I mean, it's been stripping everything down. And I'm here to say that my friend Pat Mahan and I, who are, mirroring experiences right now, it's just been so damn challenging. But what I will say is the analogy that we were talking about, I love Pat Mahan. If you guys are out there listening to this, Pat Mahan on the Like Attracts Like podcast, he's phenomenal. Gloria, you got to get him on.
I'll get him on. Link me up with him. I'll have him on. Right.
So the analogy that we're feeling right now, what this kind of is, and this does have to do with CERN, is that it feels like all of us right now are being, pulled back in a bow. And that old analogy, when life feels like you're going backwards, really you're being drawn back in a bow and you are the arrow. So the only thing you really need to do at that point is hold your aim, right? Yeah. Just don't go crazy with aim, because that's what you do have control over as you're being drawn back. Now, and we go through these constantly, right? You're constantly launching forward and launching forward. You can picture the universe as like you're flying, and it'll meet you where you land. And it's like, okay, nice transition. And we're going to give it another go. And then they launch you further, right? So with this analogy, what it feels like collectively right now is, if you want to look at this like a war, which I'm not a fan of, but if you want to just, for the metaphor's sake, say, okay, there's a side over there that has other ways that they would like for this reality to work. And there's our, side, which we can all agree is unity consciousness and all this good stuff. This idea of, coming together and all of those things, right? Well, that's in opposition with what the matrix or whatever the system here has kind of laid out for you, for all the people that choose to participate in that. And so with this, string of arrows, it's kind of like the old timey days where one fired and then the other one fired. We have been receiving a ton of arrows, and we've watched a lot of people around us drop. And we've been pierced with arrows ourselves while we're holding our aim. And the whole time we're getting bombarded by this stuff, it seems that the bow is being drawn back further and further and further. And Pat, another thing that he talks about quite a bit is the final boss. Like whenever you start to really fuck with your reality, and whenever you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and it's against everything else or just not what I was taught, then the universe is going to throw you a ton of things called resistance. And there's two reasons for this. Yeah. It's like the resistance not only is there for you to prove yourself, because otherwise everybody'd have super amazing things that they just got and then give away real quick because they don't know what it takes to have it, to kind of earn that mentally with yourself. Because really what you're doing is you're leveling yourself up, and then new things come in and then you level up again. So what we've been, I think, experiencing lately, it's heavy, but we are that arrow in the bow. Just hold your damn aim. That's all you've got to do. Now, how this pertains to CERN is that the idea that, they're going to draw in dark dimensions and stuff like that, and open these black holes. And, one of my funnest, thought experiments is, did we all die in 2012? You know what I mean? So when CERN kicked on in 2012, did it just suck us into either another dimension? And this is what the Mandela effects are, which that one's so much fun. We could talk about that forever. Or, did we all die instantly? And therefore we are really dead, but we're all continually collectively creating our reality because we don't know it. Like it all just happened so fast. And maybe new CERN is trying to open a dimension to where that never happened. I don't know. I like the idea of this, but if you are scared by this, it's more of a actualization that you're allowing the external forces that you have nothing to control, can dictate how you live your life and what your happiness looks like. So just shut that down. CERN's, doing its thing or whatever. It is weird. And there's some weird stuff. And actually there's a picture that somebody took of CERN's computer screen from the live feed. And it actually didn't say July 5th on it. It said August 22nd or April 22nd. So it already happened, like 73 days before that or something.
Right. I mean, you have frozen a few times. Can you try not to freeze? It's very disrespectful when I'm
all talking. Apologies. Yes.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I mean, I love your analogy of the bow. I always say just stay in the 0 point. If you're in a tornado, that quiet, stay there. Shit's coming. And yes, I've experienced it too. It's one after the other. So let me go to the first part. Is what is CERN? I mean, so we had a conversation.
We started there. That's my bad. I didn't even tell anybody what CERN is.
Yeah, exactly. You're bad. So I don't know if I want to co-host with you now after that error.
I'm fired already. All right.
All right. You may have to fuzz your hair out and say, ma'am, a hell of a lot more. I mean, let's get into it. I mean, no one really knows what CERN is doing. Okay. I agree with you. There is nothing to fear. If you're from the light, there's nothing to fear. I would like to, as I go segue into an experience with CERN, I would like to say that I realize is not the word. I have a knowing that it's just another big distraction. It's a distraction. So everyone puts all their attention on, starts all their theories, starts build up the fear. And while that's going on, there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, for example, my neighbor yesterday said to me, yeah, so when Boris, the spider, resigned, I went, you what? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Prime Minister didn't. Yeah, a few days. I had no idea because I don't connect to that. I mean, and now everyone's making up all of these stories why he's pissed off and he resigned. So I want to preempt it with that. My truth is when these things happen, it's a distraction. If it's something big, it's a distraction. And maybe they haven't even turned it on. And maybe what you saw was a replay. I don't know. And it doesn't really faze me. However, I'm going to come in with a balance. I'm not saying through what we're witnessing, we should like poo-poo it. No, take no notice. No, because I will share something I shared with you the other day. And then you yourself or anyone who watches the show can make their decision. Way back in the day, when I was, I don't know, it must have been around about 2012 time, just after 2012 at the time, I had found out I was a natural remote viewer. Well, it was obvious I was doing mediumship. And then I was sort of recruited to do this international group. They were testing. But prior to that, I had been an avid researcher of Ingo Swann. Just avid. I loved him for his art. I loved him. Everything come out his mouth, everything he explained. But something I learned from you on the last show, I never really took in everything that he had said, but it'd gone in, so to speak. So leave that there. And I learned a technique. It was the Stargate project. It was what they were doing in America. And I learned a specific technique with I could go anywhere. And that was at that point. And I thought this was fun. And needless to say, I haven't used it since this event. So I'm sitting there and I put myself in a certain space and it's just for this. Okay. I still teach remote viewing and I remote view in mediumship, but not that way. There's a different way to do it. And I'm in this building, Brandon. I'm in this building and I go in this building and it's just like, I can't even explain it. It was humongous and it was in an officey area. And as I come in, as real as I'm talking to you, I saw these stairs going up and I could see at the top, there were like offices with glass going all around. And I thought, wow. And for me, I'd forgotten what Ingo had said. I'm going, it's okay. No one can tell when you're remote viewing. A dog maybe or a cat, but a dog may just pick me up because I've gone in. And so there was no fear in me. I'm just in there. I didn't know where I was. And I climbed these stairs and I opened this door. It's so real. And I'm in this room and there's all these computers. And we're high up, there's a below. Yeah. And all around the room, no one was at the desk then. And there were just these computers. And it was at that point I started to feel this dread, this fear, not mine. It wasn't mine. I could distinguish, but the atmosphere was dread and fear. And Brandon, it got stronger and stronger and stronger. At the other end of this long officey bit with the windows, there was another door. The door opened and this man walked in and he really was like a men in black. It really was. He came in and he pushed me out and I was back in my chair with such force that I nearly pooped my pants. I was just literally in fear. And I'm going, he can't have seen me. He can't have seen me. No one can see. And this is what I thought I was going to get a knock on the door. I phoned all my children, told them what had happened. You know, back in the day, if I disappear. Anyway, so I went back to Ingo, and then he'd already said about this, the opposite to me, that what they can do and what not to do, don't, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to go into that part. And then I realized that whatever's going on in CERN, they have a psychic protection inside CERN. So I cut that really short. So I have never done the Stargate remote viewing since. I don't need to know now anyway. I don't need to do it because I don't need to know. So I will say, yes, there's something going on there where they've got psychic protection so you can't get in. However, Brandon, what do you think? I mean,
I love the idea of somebody like dressed like a man in black and they're walking around just some like government building or some office space or CERN. There's all these scientists walking around, but you got this man in black walking around.
I was up in the offices. They were down.
Yeah.
Where the whole thing was. I was up. But the thing that gets me, sorry, I forgot.
I was just going to say, and his whole job is to walk around and just go, nope, to astral bodies that try and come in there. Like he gets 6 figures, good dental, and that's his job. He's got a little badge with his name on it and shit, and that's his job.
However, years later, I had someone, years later, a couple of years ago, I had someone try to remote view me, and I was in this room, and it was like the fabric of the universe was. And I pushed back, but not in a negative. But I want to add something to that. I didn't know where I was, Brandon. And a few days later, back in the day, I used to buy magazines, as you do.
What?
Do you know what I mean? I know, my bad. And I was looking at the pictures. I love pictures. I just read the pictures. Can't read the shit. And there was the office and the building that I had previously remote viewed. And then and there was the big CERN. It was CERN. That's the only way I found out. Then I panicked even more back in the day and told the kids again, oh my God. So I really, I get that. But also I was going to add, well, they're going to have psychic protection because you've got Russians and China and,
Like, how amazing is that, though? For like even that realization right there, that every major corporation, probably has psychic power of some kind, because we know that billionaires with a B use astrology. Every sitting U.S. president has had an astrologer. It's like there is definitely something to it. And they gaslight you every time that they put things out that say it's woo-woo or that you shouldn't. Why are you looking at that? While they're, back here, like, in a room that they've got the door cracked on, there's all this, people in robes and candles and shit in the back. And they're like, oh, what are you paying attention to astrology for? That's ridiculous. It's stupid. And then shut the door. So it's like, they gaslight everybody who knows anything about this. Now, I like the idea, like I said, of just these employees, it's like it comes with your package, you get psychic protection. And, maybe this is something that they offer to like famous people, CEOs, musicians, athletes, things like that. Because if you think about it, there are a lot of like obsessed people out there that just want to get close to people. And especially if they're in the spotlight. And if that happens, I mean, if we know anything about intent, people can just astral project or even accidentally just simply because they have strong enough intent. So I would think that, famous people really need, and politicians especially, have got to have
governments would need power. It. I mean, Brandon, so many people now remote view is common.
Right.
I mean, mediums do it. Most mediums didn't realize they were remote viewing. And, later on found out. So I can understand why you would have that protection. However, we've digressed slightly. Let's go back as to what we think is going on. I mean,
wild speculation from here on out. Wild speculation warning, everyone. We're just going to wild speculation.
Friends chatting.
Just talking shit.
I mean,
I think the portal thing's interesting. I think that, its correlation to the Mandela effect is what's very, very interesting, because there are tangible things that millions of people remember. And what's interesting to me sometimes is you can tell, it's almost like a really good like litmus test for somebody that you're just meeting, right? You can be like, hey, do you remember the describe the Monopoly man to me? And if they describe him in no monocle and they never remembered it, probably an NPC or something like that. They're probably like a non-player character here, and you could just move on with life. It's kind of like a new secret handshake for all of us that are kind of in the know. Now, like I said, the Mandela effect stuff is very interesting because this entails that, things in our reality changed, and that they can be affected by something. Now, who knows if CERN is what's doing that? Maybe, again, if we really zoom out on this, which I'm a fan of, that if we look at CERN and the idea that it's scary and demonic, and they have the statue of Shiva, and yes, they do all these crazy rituals for the opening ceremonies. If you guys want to go look those up, they're probably still online. I don't know. They haven't pulled them down because enough people have been looking at them yet. But then you look at, they're open. There was a Freudian slip from the lady from the live the other day that went out, and she said, we have successfully opened the something Stargate. And so people say, well, it's a Stargate program, to where they're opening a portal. They wanted to open a window, but they opened a portal instead. And, they just kind of wanted to peek, but shit started coming through and giving them power and whatever, and even altering timelines. Maybe, again, this is just super fun to think about. And all of these scientists, if you think about traditional scientists, I would say a vast majority of them are not openly religious. Science is their God, right? So a predominant amount of them, we could generalize here, but are atheists. So maybe they think that there's nothing to this, and maybe they think that there's just, oh no, that's woo woo. We're like opening portals and seeing quarks and stuff, and they discovered three new quarks.
Need to know basis.
Need to know, but they don't kind of take it all into consideration. You know what I mean? Because maybe, there's a lot more to it, but they've been isolated so far from natural things because they're looking at artificial ways of replicating natural things that it kind of distracts them from the idea that there's this balance here, right? And we in the, I'm going to say more spiritual community, which I don't identify with 100% of. I'm just saying I lean more towards the unity consciousness idea, and that's in that camp. And that's about it. But if you over here on this side, we're like, hang on, you can't be too artificial. But, with this dualistic reality and all of these things, one of the things that I'm observing here is kind of maybe the extremes are here so that you can create the middle. If you're given all of these options, and I'm sure that we've talked about the concept of either or, this idea of like philosophically, like you can only have this or that, and kind of the ridiculousness of like statements like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, then what the fuck's the point of having cake? Are you just gonna stare at it and watch it go bad? You probably want to eat it, right? That's that's the reason you procured cake. And so it's things like that that kind of within this reality that they maybe can screw with. And so maybe they do follow a darker order. Like if you've ever looked into like the Saturn death cults and the black cubes and all of that stuff, that Saturnian god and all of that, and how it's in all of these corporate logos, and there's black cubes are everywhere, and like that's a whole religion in itself that gaslights away from natural law, from things that you and I gravitate towards. But then they do it in secret. It's a cult, it's hidden, it's esoteric. But they're all doing it, which is, if at a high enough level, they're all doing it. And that's what's so interesting about this is that, when you put a statue of Shiva out, it can be interpreted a couple of ways. One is, yes, at its core, that is the god of destruction, death, and change. But the good news about that is, and how I like to perceive it, is actually Shiva is incredibly necessary, and you need destruction, and you need things to fall apart for new things to flourish, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And so at this time, with this energy of everything really being just stripped down, you know what I mean? The veil is very thin. Everybody's kind of looking around going, whoa, we've been sleeping this whole time. What the fuck is going on? And with that energy comes the opportunity to create new. And that's what I see we're having here. Now, again, back to the discernment part of this, like the Klaus Emil Schwabs and all the people that want like the Great Reset and all that kind of stuff, that is an option. That's a option. We could do that if you want. But I think we're created with a greater opportunity, especially at this time, and especially with what CERN's doing, because I felt different since it kicked on. I don't know if it's a, psychological thing or what.
I didn't even know it had been turned on because I literally have disconnected out there unless something comes in my face. However, I think I may have said to you before, recently, before, I kept feeling like I died and come back and died and come back and died and come back. And when I found out CERN, was going on, then I thought, something has shifted. And then for a little bit, just, I thought, am I in 2012? Because all of that come about. And then I said to you what to call the show and what do you want to talk about? You said, CERN. I went, nah. And then I recorded the memory and shared it. Went, nah. And so too many synchronicities. And another one, I was listening to you, because I do listen to you, Brandon, because you know, I do listen sometimes. You said that this scientist spokeswoman slipped up and said Stargate. Well, that was the program that I did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what they allegedly do, is open actual Stargates. And, you know, there's all of this is in your face anyway, with the movie Stargate, with all of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, you know, whatever they're doing, I mean, I don't fear what they're doing.
No.
I think if you start to fear and you put your attention on it, you'll experience, let's say, what you choose to experience. You have a choice. But I think we are aware. I mean, I don't know. Last time they said it caused all the potholes. I have no idea, but I know when CERN turned on, there was fucking potholes everywhere.
We jump to a reality where they don't give a shit about potholes, and they've just let them go for too long. I mean, and that's how, you know, you kind of look at this thing. You're like, okay, well, this is an opportunity to, even if you want to go woo with it, and I'm fine with that. Like, let's do it. Then jump to the best timeline of yourself. Like, really focus on that. What does everything mean to you right now? You know, everybody should sit down and script out what they want out of life, because not a lot of people even ask themselves that question. Just, what do you want? What's your perfect day look like? Describe it from your feet hitting the floor to the feeling of the light switch turning on, like everything about it. Like, what did you do? Did you have coffee? What did it smell like? You know, all that. Like, really script all of that out. And this is a way you really take all of the potentials, because that's what's so great about, and you do this, you do production work and audio engineering and all that kind of stuff. And in production work, we live in an age where the technology is so great that you can do anything you want. And that's the best news. And the worst news is that you can do anything that you want. And the reason that that's unfortunate is because of choice, right? Because of options, because you have too much that you can do. So even in like what we do here with the show and your show, you really want to focus what you want to do and be very specific with it. And that is how you can view this time period. You know, there's some that speculate if this is a split type of a thing, then the lizard turds or whatever are just going to create a lot of energy, and whatever you already are is going to amplify. That's what's happening right now. You're finding cracks in your foundation for you to, as you're being drawn back to be launched into the next greatest version of yourself. And they're trying to snatch as many damn people as they can to keep them in a low vibration. So it's like a supercharged free for all. So you get to choose what you want. And that's how I'm looking at it.
I'm in total agreement. I mean, you know, science is through the evolution of the conscious experience, which is continuous creation. Consciousness is the creator of matter, and it will keep creating, and it will experience all things. It's not going to stop. But the things like CERN, I mean, you know, when CERN first, you know, it first come on, I never perceived it in a negative way. And for me, it was like, well, if you blow us up, you blow us up. That's fine. I'm out of here. So I had no resistance to it. I mean, I must admit, you know, when I saw the potholes, I thought, you bastards. But anyway, you know, sometimes I know this is my personal truth. Sometimes we have an experience which is what we call negative, and we experience trauma and everything. And then hindsight, the bitch, then you change the way you perceive it. Wayne Dyer 101, change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And then you say, oh my God, it wasn't what I thought it was. So you open up. So I'm open to, if it's, to me, it's not bad. It's not negative, but I have to, because I'm still here having, you know, conversation, and I have to address it and just share what I felt there. They have the psychic protection. And I agree with you. I'm sure all the way out there in all government and all universities, they've got the psychic protection. We're too advanced now with remote viewing. And if it's anything like what I was doing, and there, you know, it's got to happen. It's the way it's going to go. And instead of resisting, try to understand it, or, or go and learn remote viewing, the best way, the Stargate way, one or the other. And, you can, still experience, because it's going to come to that, Brandon. This is why I'm leading this. We all know when we talk about ET experience, multidimensional beings, all of these, it's all telepathy, it's all remote viewing, it's all psychic. And it could be that CERN is really going to amplify the psychic aspect of all of us. Maybe it's that, I don't know. I'm chatting shit. We're just having a conversation. So instead of looking for the negative things, we could still, because what you put your attention on, law of attraction 101, the basic, you'll receive. And trust me, I'm going to add to you, you're talking about changes, the law of attraction, as we call it. You think it happens, Brandon, recently?
It's getting very quick to manifest. Yes,
boom,
absolutely.
Boom.
It's
getting the person there in front of you.
It's been very interesting. I highly encourage everybody to out there to play with this. Like, just test it, and check it, and just kind of think of somebody you haven't thought of in years, decades, and they will ring you up if they're still with you, or they'll astral project in front of you.
Maybe it's a counter action for what's happening. I don't know.
It's only speculation. It's only speculation, especially what they tell you. What they tell you is probably like a truth and two lies, or two truths and a lie, or maybe no truth and all lies. Who knows?
It's going to be for their reality, what they're creating their reality, what they choose. However, for someone who's an experiencer of multidimensional beings, even if they did open a big ass portal and brought in, their negative Nellies, it wouldn't bother me, because I've got bodyguards, and there's millions of us out there, experiencers. They're here first before even CERN come in. So there isn't even an issue there, because there's beings out there that are actually, they're working with a lot of energies that's out there, that's trying to haven't got humanity's best interest to, I don't like the word ascend, but to evolve. To self-inquiry all the way. But they're out there doing their stuff. So, it will be interesting, we may just sort of like go to bed one night and wake up somewhere else and go, hi, that was a fucking awesome ride. Did they blow us up?
Yeah.
What happened this time, Brandon? Did we get sucked into the Sagittarius big black hole or something like that? I don't know. I don't know, but I don't fear. And I agree with you. Stay in the middle, or as your analogy, which I'm going to plagiarize now, pull your bow and keep your aim. Let the shit keep coming.
Yeah.
And my God, shit is coming. And my God, everywhere around me, it's just boom, 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 boom.
Just hold your aim. And the more shit, the further the launch. Like, this is how too. Like, the worse things get, great. Everything's being cleared out to make room for the crazy, amazing launch. You're lightening your load. You're reducing some weight from the last launch when you drop. There's dirt on the arrow, so you got to brush it off. And you're like, hey, I was fond of that. I got really comfortable with just coming home and watching TV every day. I want that in my life. And the universe is like, hang on, we got more shit to do here. And really what you want is to, do the things that you keep, liking on Instagram as you swipe by or whatever. And it's like, well, you can get out there and do that. And so just create the life that you want. And now more than ever is the time to do that. There's a thirst for this kind of knowledge that we're talking about. Everyone is ready to, move on from the old system. So they're seeing the lies and they're tired of that. And so what's left over from that is, a lot of, hurt. If it's your first time, we welcome you, and that's unfortunate, but you'll get through it. It'll be okay. And then you move forward. And then that's where the real magic is. But and I heard this great quote the other day. Somebody was talking about that, none of their greatest epiphanies or most dramatic life change for the positive ever happened when they were just comfortable. It always happened when you're in the shittiest pit. And that's when it's like, oh my God, you get these awarenesses, because from a comfortable spot, and I don't mean like comfort's bad. It's not that. It's just from a inability to grow place, because you can grow and be comfortable too. Being comfortable in your discomfort's great.
But I think you become complacent, don't you? You can become complacent.
That's that's even better word, because comfortable is great. You know, we like that. But you know, it's that stagnancy that's the issue, and so there will be a shakeup, and that's, you know, there's a global shakeup now. So if you really want to look at this, if they do open some, you know, Orion's anus portal or something like that, and all these bad fart demons come flying out everywhere, the good news is that, you know, what appears to happen in nature and everything is balance is what's most important. Ascension and balance is what's important. And so, you know, but that happens through chaos. And so as these chaotic things encounter, you can know that a force just as equal or a little bit greater to that is here as well, or here to balance things out, right? So I say let them open the pit, bring all the minotaurs through. That's cool, because we'll get, like, you know, dope shit flying around.
You know what? I mean, when I used to have a lot of the experiences, they'd show me things, and recently it's been coming back, and I think I mentioned it on one of my shows recently as well. And I keep thinking, we've done the work on ourselves, basically, and the healing. Now and then we're doing the healing with the multi-dimensionals. You know, you sort of like, oh, fuck, I've got your DNA in me. You have to get over it, yeah? But then I was made aware of, you know, like we have conflict in humanity, yeah? Go off. We don't do it so much now, but we used to go slaughter everybody. They have their conflict in their civilizations too, which is well recorded, but I am aware of that. But one thing they showed me about a time that will come as it goes into unity consciousness, we will become, and this is said with the most positive intent, a time will come, my awareness, where our timelines with them and us, where they're doing their conflicts and resolving and healing with their enemies, we will be part of that. Does that make sense to you, what I'm trying to articulate?
It does. And what's interesting, what it made me think of when you were saying it is that if that's the case and we're constantly merging timelines, then if there are two forces here, and this is another real thing at the core of what we're talking about, is duality, right? And duality is just an experiential state. One is not good or bad. One may be preferred to what you're used to over another, but it's, you know, good and bad's a judgment thing, which you're welcome to use, but it also, you know, can affect the way that you experience life in a positive way. I'll just kind of throw that caveat out there. But if you think about this from a timeline perspective, and if this is a dualistic universe, and these forces that want destruction and these forces that want growth are at odds with one another, but really when they can realize that actually they need each other, again, the value in Shiva being able to come in and go, you know what, we're done with all of this, let's wipe it clean. Same with things like the flood myths and like the Hopi, how they have like 5 destructions of Earths, we're in our 5th, you know, stuff like that. It's like these traditions of things coming here and being wiped out, you know, the plasma apocalypse theories, all of these, the long scale cycle of stuff. It looks more and more like that this is just the way it goes. Now, if in one of these stretches of time where we're in between cycles of destruction, but somebody figured out, actually, because of this dualistic force, there are dimensions this way as well, where we're all living in this, and one force, let's just call it the dark and the other one the light, just for the sake of it. It's not hierarchical. So one force is there and another force is there, and they both have different footholds in all of the dimensions next to them. Let's say that you increase as you get further away from 0 point, which is balance. Let's say that the dark increases exponentially to darker and darker and darker, and the light increases exponentially to lighter and lighter and lighter, where it's at its most pure and its most opposed. Let's say that if somebody figured out that, oh, I can just have a machine and we can jump timelines, what it does is it cancels out timelines as you go, right? Just as the theory goes. So therefore, you're only left with a few different timelines that are pretty damn similar, of one dominating light and one dominating dark. Okay. Now, what happens when eventually all of the timelines are gone and now you're only left with 2? You're left with maybe what it kind of looks like around here right now, which is an exorbitant amount of light and people waking up and, you know, quitting their jobs and finding out, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and just seeing great things. And then people doubling down really, really hard in the dark. So it's never looked darker and it's never looked lighter at the same time. So this could be that we are finally merged to the last
I mean,
timeline.
it could be. I mean, it's a great theory. None of us know. We're just speculating. It's a great theory. I want to come in because something that's also been come to me recently. I've said it numerous times, and you just said it now. You know, we've had these great destructions, and in my mind, my knowing or me, I'm going, maybe that's a lie. It wasn't destruction. Maybe each time we've gone through a cycle through the evolution of consciousness to ascend, that we're a CERN. You know, maybe the Atlantis people had a CERN, and I kept thinking, because I know every experience is for the benefit of the unity consciousness. It has to be. It can't be anything other. Maybe they weren't. I mean, I have heard a few people say, well, you know, they didn't get destroyed, they ascended, and that whoever wrote the history books, yes.
Who
knows?
And who knows, and it could be said that unity consciousness at a level, and again, these are just theories, we're just talking shit. Let's say that you are unity consciousness and you split yourself into all of these different potentialities to experience yourself subjectively. Okay. Well, then if you also kind of look at the idea that whenever you walk through life and make a choice, like if you make a choice to go left or right or whatever, then really your consciousness, the main one that you're focused in, the one you remember throughout these sequences of choices, then that's the one you kind of follow, but there's another version of you that every time you were presented with an either or flipped off, and it branches off into another reality. Now think of this on the scale of every human that's ever lived throughout time and everyone that's still being born. Every time a baby goes, ooh, I want to grab the butterfly rather than the dog stuffed toy to take outside with me this time, that splits off into another universe. One in which they took one and one in which they took the other. So let's say that unity consciousness has done this over all of humanity the whole damn time, not to mention ETs and everything. Okay.
Everything. Yeah. Because they're part of it. They're part of the duality. They're part of it. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. All of it's part of it. And so this you can also view as like a bubble that's been blown out and then is being wrapped back into itself, kind of like our lungs. They inhale, exhale, expand, contract. And then we feel like the natural tendency towards life is to expand, right? But perhaps it's both. There's great physics theories about on the other side of the Big Bang, there's a universe going backwards. And maybe it's this pendulum thing that constantly those balls on the desk, right? That just bounce back and forth. And we're just experiencing it at a very slowed down version of it with very dense vibrations that create an experience. And then every time it ebbs, it flows, it destruction and creation, but it absorbs all of the information it obtained and then expands back out and creates new things based on that new information. This can also be done on a micro level with the way you experience life with a toroidal field. This could even be how our universe actually works, that things like go out that you perceive, and based on that information, you formulate new ideas about your reality. Those spit out and then create in front of you, which then you form new ideas about. Those come in, you create new ideas, and it's an all-going cycle.
Yeah, because consciousness in its true nature is a creative force, and it creates an experience. I don't like the word destruction, but we'll use it. There has to be a destruction.
It has to.
I mean, the body has to be destructed. It has to die.
Yeah, could you imagine if no one died? Then we'd have overpopulation.
Yeah, but the experience has to go, if you see what I'm saying. Otherwise, you can't live forever. Hello?
If you think about it too, like
constant creation. You've got to go forward. Yeah.
Think about it too, like little carrier pigeons. Okay, like maybe unity consciousness took a little pigeon on a message, an owl, if you want to go Harry Potter with it. And wrote a little message on it that just said, hey, if you're out there, let me know what it's like to live your life. And this owl flew out, had an experience, or handed someone in this blank piece of paper with that question on it. Then they filled in their entire life's experiences, their essence is imbued in that story. They tape it back to the owl, and the owl, this person dies. And when that person dies, the owl carries their story back to source. You can think of this as your soul. That's what your soul does. It comes down here, documents what the shit's going on, and then zooms back up for processing. And when you go back, you're going to go, hey, this Brandon dude was pretty cool. I loved podcasting. That was a lot of fun. I look great in yellow, by the way, so I should wear more of it. And then also,
I looked at it in yellow.
cancer. I'm doing you. This is you, by the way.
Okay.
And then Cancer sucks. Let's get rid of that. And then, we could do better in a couple of areas. So you come back with your notes, right?
Yeah.
And then children are born that we call star seeds that come here with that information, with that upgrade in experience for us. And then we can go, you know what, create the life that we gave you notes for in the past. Like, think of this as far as like just the way things integrate and innovation, how it works, right? You learn from an experience, you process that experience, and you innovate and grow from it. Think of this on a soul level. Think of this on a planetary level. Think of it on a galactic scale, that everything flings out, it expands and expands, and you get all that fresh, represented by air in your lungs. You get all that experience, and then it contracts, sucks in, and goes, you know what? That was pretty cool. What happens if we create this based on that information?
And yet the next experience,
like that's what it is.
I love it. I love your analogy. I mean, because that is what consciousness creates. That's it. And it's continuous and it's eternal. And it has all potentiality, all possibilities in all places, all time, in all experiences. So it does make sense. And that's how I perceive it. It doesn't matter what's happening with CERN or anything. That's how I perceive it. I mean, it's with what's going on with CERN at the moment, what we're all experiencing, you've got to be deaf, dumb, and blind, even if you're not in this mode of sort of thinking that there's something going on. You've got to register what you were right. What the fuck's going on? Because it's not just about CERN. There is so much going on now. But that opens up conversations like we're having, where we speculate. We need more speculation. We don't need more conspiracy theories. We don't. We've gone past it. We need to find the truth now, the real truth. And that, I'm sorry, it's going to come from within me, within you, within the other, where we start. Let's say maybe we need a good old philosophy. That's what we're doing, Brandon. We're having a philosophical discussion about something without answers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, indeed. Now, and also you can look at it this like, again, your quality control agent. So you kind of just like are looking here. Now, when you say, you said kind of like pick the I think we do definitely choose this. And what I mean by this is that, like, let's say that you do have the option to create what you want. And so if that's the case, then believing in that and knowing that all you have to do is shut down all of the things, speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil, just shut down two of your senses, the seeing and hearing, stop paying attention to it for a minute, go within, and you're going to find a lot of focus and clarity. And when you find that, what you realize is all the things out there are here to distract you from that, to pull energy away from you and radiate it out. And when you turn it back in on yourself, you really get clarity of focus. So let's say that we are all creating this reality, and we are doing it on an independent level, but a co-creation scale as well. Then all you need to do to play your part here is not to agree with a bunch of people or to go, you know what, I like that idea, so I'm going to invest 100% in everything this person has to say, and there you go. Negative. Like, that's honestly another psyop. That's another trick, because what they're able to do is take your focus against all of your intuition, or at least a little bit of it. Parts that don't resonate is what we're talking about. And suck it away from you, right? So let's say that all you got to do here is be you. Be the best fucking you that you can. And you know that that's your role here because there's no other one like you. And if there's anyone else out there like you, then ask yourself some questions and figure out why, right? Because that shouldn't be the case. There shouldn't be that many similar people.
They shouldn't. I mean, every individual conscious being, their personal autonomy, who they are, everything about them, their likes, their dislikes, their aspirations, everything, even the neurons in their brain, left brain, right brain, balanced brain, is an individual experience for that person. And, when you start seeing a few behave the same or just like you or agree, then you've got to question it, because that can't be. Creation consciousness doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You can have put in bulbs of, say, daffodils, and you may put in, but every individual daffodil will have a slight difference to the other. Will grow taller, will be bigger, will flower maybe brighter. But that, I totally agree with the way that you've gave that analogy, and that is something people years ago, people aspire to be like rock stars, would they not? You know, they wear their clothes, they used to do their hair, trying to be what they're not. So today, what is it today? It's not like it used to be. But today, it's more of a psychological gaslighting, Stockholm syndrome, to keep you from going within. You're putting your attention out, and it's the Stockholm syndrome coming in, or call it gaslight, doesn't matter. So I agree with that, and I think why that's heightened, I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there, chatting shit. Why it's really heightened, and I mean it's really, really, really heightened exponentially, is because of what's happening to consciousness, I don't like the word ascended. I'll use the word evolution of consciousness, to create, and as you say, become the greater, biggest, better, I'll add to it, more beautiful, loving version of yourself. I've added on that.
Keep it going. Yeah, you can add on a ton of shit. And what's interesting is like two things, like you said, are happening here. It seemed, again, just from my observation, that definitely the veil has been lifted. Like they can now, there are things in our reality that, are changing people's way that they're seeing it. And what the two part of this is one part of it is all of these things are coming out so fast and so rapid, and they're being pulled in so many different directions. Now, I'm not going to talk shit about anyone, but if you are taking badges from different causes and putting it around your profile picture, that is a sign that you now are against something else. Now, you may say, well, yeah, but it's for cancer and I'm against cancer. And so it says, fuck cancer. Well, true. And that's awesome. But also what this is saying, that whenever you side with the medical industry on something like cancer, something like this, there is so much evidence to show that homeopathic ways and means of being able to cure these things, with intention studies, with all of those. So actually what you could say is that a lot of doctors out there, and this is going to be very controversial, a lot of doctors out there are unknowingly going against their Hippocratic oath of do no harm. Because you're actually doing more harm by ignoring the things that your schools told you to memorize as pseudoscience and not to use and to disregard. And so that actually you're not providing the care that you were told that you were going to. And people are waking up to this. And this is what the challenge is. Now they're being faced with actual news. Beforehand, if you're not presented with an idea like unity consciousness or something, you can disregard it, you can move on. But when something is put in your face like this, like, okay, here's where we are right now, here's the state of things, how do you feel about it? Everything is a lie, all of these things that people told you is not true, your whole reality is crumbled around you. What do you do? And this is what is causing a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain and all that. But on the other side of that is the joy and the love.
That part of the process? I mean, there's cognitive dissonance in the brain. I remember way back as I was coming out, when I started to get glimpses, of it, it really hurt. It was shit. And I put my trust in. And so it's understandable that other beings on the planet, other human beings on the planet, are going through this. But you can see it's in such, how can I put it? It is like, I've got to say, it's got to be round about well over 3/4 of the planet is really going through what you've just expressed in some shape or another. They're questioning, they're realizing, I have a choice. I have a choice. It's a
big scale right now, which is why this time period is so different. It's because it's on such a damn scale.
And it's shaking and deconstructing the reality we've come out from. There's just a bit, and I agree. The word destruction, I don't like it. However, I'm going to use it again for those that, because just to be, to explain layman's term, things need to be destroyed so new can be built. New can be built. A new education system, a new medical system, a new whatever system, because you can't go forward. Once you know this shit, Brandon, there's no going back, is there? So you can't go forward with the same foundations you just left.
Yeah,
You need to
Einstein, you can't solve a problem using the same thinking that was used to create it. And
Yeah,
so even in the word systems, some would say that systematically changing everything to be systematic is the issue. And so maybe just approach rather than systems, a new approach to education, a new
whatever way,
approach to
whatever
medicine.
word, whatever
Yeah, a
verbiage
new
works
awareness.
for you.
Yeah, because there's
Yeah,
no one size fits all for anything.
never
And
will be. Never will.
and you can look at it as good for society if you want to take it that way. I think initially all of it was good for everything. If you really, really think about this, all of it was necessary. All of it had to happen. All of it
Yeah,
needed to occur in the way that it did with the people that it did so that you could be here now.
yeah,
Again, life had to experience itself, get reincarnated back here with new notes and a little bit more awareness. It's kind of like they subconsciously plant whatever the source is, God, whatever, subconsciously plants in. Okay, there are these things in life that we would like to change, but you're being into a world in which they exist. Okay.
mhm,
And there are other babies being born that say, okay, you need to make this really, really hard for the people that want the type of change that we are trying to make. And the baby's like, hang on. So I'm here. You want to do this change, but really we're going this direction. And then source is like, yeah. But it's because you're being born into an experience. It's like an ongoing thing.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
your role here, Justin Trudeau, is to go out and to just make people absolutely hate you and to fear for their lives because it's going to institute change. And there's going to be a bunch of trucks that come. He's like, but hang on, am I going to have good hair? And they're like, yeah, you're going to have good hair. You're going to be born to Castro. No one's going to know you're Castro's baby. And we're going to take you up. We're going to drop you in Canada. And he's like, isn't that cold up there? And they're like, no, it's fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be running shit. And his job is to make sure that he wakes up as many damn people as possible. And this is why the more evil, like air quotes evil, the system looks, the better of a job it's doing, because its job is to shake you up and make you so goddamn uncomfortable that you institute the change that you were born to do.
So agree with you. And it's the same with CERN. It's
exactly.
Now I will tell you, I'm honest. I put my hands up. I've got nothing to hide. When we spoke on the phone and I said, look, I'm not going to mention it's me that went into CERN, accidentally, and what happened to me. And we agreed, didn't we? I'd say a friend I know. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I come away from your conversation with you, and within minutes, the beings are there, and I'm going, fuck, I just realized I had a fear I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
I had a fear. And I went, and then it went. I haven't got no, well, why can't I talk about it? This is what's happening now within seconds. And that's why I said, I'll just talk about it. I don't give a flying fuck what anyone thinks about it. So that's what you've just, you said that really beautifully and elegantly, and you haven't called me ma'am in about 10 minutes. So I'm waiting for it.
I'll do better, ma'am. And this is what this is. It's like maybe, before it took generations to change things. It took 2 generations to fool everyone to think about that this planet is the way it is and rewrite history and all that good stuff. But it takes generations to affect change at the speed of connectivity with other human beings. And you can correlate this. So if you could think about it, when we were more spread out, there, you could look at this just even based on like 100 years or something like this. When we didn't have the connectivity like we do now, things progress very slowly. But now you have things like TikTok. Now you have things like what we're doing here, talking from all the way across the world, the earth or whatever. So it's like, now it seems that the pace in which we're really figuring this out is accelerating so fast because of what was created to hold us down in the first place. So do you see how it complements each other every time? And it's not as if we hijack the technology. That's what the technology was for the whole time. It's just they told you that it wasn't, and therefore you used it that way, and therefore it inadvertently woke more people up, because now we're sharing shit that is true and using it against them, which they plan to have done the entire time, because they want ascension just as much as you do. Because if you think about it, the more powerful the light gets, the stronger the dark gets.
Hold on a minute. You just need to stand on a platform by yourself.
We're just
and
talking.
Talk and chat shit. Just keep saying it. You just remember, I had a wonderful, amazing, beautiful soul on my show last night, David Levitt, who's a scientist, and I'm into quantum physics and all of that. And we were deep down the rabbit hole on that and was talking about everything. And he said something, because I have a thing, this is really relevant to what you said, I think. Let me try and get it.
I believe it.
I said to him, I got an issue with gravity. And he said, what's your issue? And I said, it's not what they say it is. And how it works is not that way. And he proved to me on the show that how I'd intuitively, whatever way got it, I was correct. But one part he was talking about, take this analogy and add it to the individual conscious, the word ascension, don't like it, right? And he said, so the Earth's spinning at whatever, it's going through this universe at, it is accelerating so
66.6 thousand miles an hour, by the way, 666.
All right, you show off, shut up.
I'm just saying that's a silly thing to include in fake math, is a Saturnian.
Anyway, that it isn't the gravity that holds us on the floor or anything. It's the scientific words, which I can't remember what we said. It's the resistance, the resistance of pull and push, expansion, contraction. We're going out and we're hitting other energies like entanglement, and it's forcing us to stay here. It's not gravity itself. I may have sort of lost the plot with you lot out there, but I know what I'm trying to say here. And what you've just said, it just so resonated with what you're talking about, how we're experiencing this with the resistance, what's going on. And it's the same. And that then, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but then we do know that when the individual changes, the reality changes, everything changes. Mother Earth changes. The planets change. The magnetic field changes. Every single thing. It's not just Gloria going off or Brandon going off. The whole of the experience or the illusion is accelerating and having that extraction, expansion, exactly at the same time, including multidimensional beings. Did I just lose the plot there? But I know what I was trying to say. I said it according to me, but there you go.
Crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. And yes, that is one explanation for why we are stuck to the ground or don't just fly off into space. Another explanation is because space is fake and they lied to you about everything, and we don't live on a spinning ball. That'd be a good way to stay on top of it.
But then I have no issue because I don't believe in the time.
Do you ask him about that kind of stuff, that physicist? Do you talk to him about that? Like, where's the math on like law of buoyancies versus gravity? Can you explain that to me? Or like,
I haven't had that conversation because we just went somewhere else and it was just wonderful. And he's an amazing being.
Sounds awesome.
He's at. You should get him on your show.
I'll have him on because I'm curious. We'll do this after this. But yeah. Let me know his information.
I'm telling you, he is a beautiful, and he spotted a UFO. He's an experiencer as well as a scientist. So yes, they're rare. He is the most awesome being. I'm telling you, I love him to bits. And he's a kind of like me and you. You can chat. You don't have to have the same perception. It doesn't really matter. We'll go somewhere else. So you've got to have him on your show. So I'm totally lost now. Where were we, Brandon? I've got lost.
And just kind of another way to kind of look at this is there's a guy that I just had on my show. It's not out yet. Named Ben Rosenberg. He goes by Merlin Mofo on TikTok. You guys check him out. He's got some awesome shit. I've got to send him your way. He's over there in the UK. I'll send him your way so you guys can have a chat.
Send him to me. Yeah,
he's great. We'll do a guest swap here. So
we'll do a guest swap. Yeah.
One of the things he was talking about is, every soul has a body, but not every body has a soul. And that really resonated with me. Ooh. So if you think about it, think about people that you've met in your life that are just soulless, and you hear this described, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, like, what are those beings? Like, that's an organic being walking around. And another thing that he said that just tripped me the hell out and sent us on this amazing rabbit hole. This is why you got to have him on. And just because he's a sweetheart, is that let's say that we're told that cloning is kind of a new technology, but what if it's not? What if cloning has been around forever? And what if really the leaders in power here have been clones of other just templates that have AI in their mind, and there's some sort of like electrical interface with our electromagnetic body, right? Our etheric body, that, organic architecture, right? That light body. There's some interface that AI can do at a technological level. Now, whether we live in a simulation or this is a realm or a planet or whatever the hell, then there are bodies that are animated that are walking around here. There is a parasite that can take over a beetle by eating its brain, or a wasp. They eat its brain out and then continue to function. They like basically take it over and drive it. So who's to say that this doesn't happen on like a soul level, to where like there's vessels running around here? Think of like the Mr. Smith phenomena in The Matrix, where a Smith could just drop into any person, right? What if a soul can do this? What if like,
I have no issue with that. I tell you,
and then maybe there's not that many souls here. Maybe this is what light workers are. We're souls in bodies inhabiting experience to have experiences. This could be another reason also why we're so spread out, why there's so few and far between. You're kind of plopped in your own little area with a bunch of people not like you around you. And maybe this is the game of resistance, is that by being influenced in the environment that you're in. And that is what you're here to break out of.
We touched upon this on the last show, or one of the shows, where I said to you, I call them walk-ins. You call them, what do you call them?
Well, NPCs is just kind of a modern day vernacular.
To kind of modern day. I'm not that fucking old. Right?
What I mean is, no. What I mean is it's modern in the sense that it's based on, because NPC stands for non-playable character. So like in a game, in a video game that like, is super popular now, that we didn't have back in the day.
Well, we touched upon this, and we went so deep on that, and I'd experienced this being that was not human. And then, I'm thinking, well, maybe there's just me.
Well, his idea about it said an AI took over, basically, and is running the whole damn show. And that it does it through these politicians or these NPCs, these people that are organic beings that you can clone, because, again, cloning and AI, all this super technology.
Is that our game then?
Well, that's our way to interpret it, or it's our prison. It depends on how you look at it. I'm a boundless optimist, so I look at it as it's a game, it's a ride. You're here, you signed up for this. These are Westworld type characters that are around you to help you grow and choose your best life.
Speculation, because I have no issue with that. Because let's just say the gods come in to have the experiences, and there's only going to be so many gods, and we need the players in the game. I call them walk-ins. It doesn't matter what you call them. And they come in so we can have the experiences. Maybe the fact that it's being raised in consciousness now, that we are recognizing, we spoke about this before, when we start to recognize that's not real, then that is really positive news, that this discussion is going out there. You've heard it from someone else, even though we have touched upon this.
The AI part of it, but it blends into what we talked about, which I did seamlessly, by the way. That's why it looks so professional. But the other thing about this is like, let's say that now you take this place and all these vessels, all these people here, as like characters in a game that you can select. You're like, ooh, I want to go be Gloria this time, and you get to tag into your life, and you get to come in here and affect. Now, if you take this like a bunch of different people down here and you're looking down at the board game, okay, you're up in whatever it is, and you control the settings. You've got settings for everything. You can dial up how many light workers are like born into this place, and then you can offset the balance, right? So maybe this is what it is. You have a ton of vessels here, and this is what people being switched on is all about. Like, as you look at it, I mean, I've talked to people who swear they had no life before about like 5 years ago. They have no memory of their lives before.
Oh, and that's God, yes.
So one could say then that if you were on autopilot and you weren't awake, you were a piece of this game that was being played. And you're just an autonomous being walked around until somebody threw a quarter in a dimension somewhere and said, ooh, I want to play Brandon this time. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to wait until there's podcasting so that he can do this and talk to Gloria and all of this stuff. So it's perfectly, like, it's beautiful in that way. Now, another way to look at this is that the game's always going, but it's affected by the players here. And every now and then, maybe you just want to reset the game, same, let's say, parameters, same like gravity or law of buoyancy, however you want to put it. Also, we're going to lie to them all and say we're on a spinning ball, because that's going to add a thing to it. And we're going to see how that plays out. And then you just push play. And then you're like, you know what? I really want to go down there and see what that's like. And so you hop into a body. You can hop body to body to body. There are like camera shots of these two people walking, and then something floats from one to the other reacts and then moves on. So like, who's to say that this doesn't happen?
I mean, I have no issue with that as well. I mean, I'm aware that all of this is an illusion. So I have no issue with any speculation at all. Whatever it is, I'm happy with it, because for me, it's still the game.
Yeah,
And
this goes for anything
obviously
here.
the game's got to
Aliens
get a bit
coming to be an
testing, a
alien.
bit harder and more. It's got to be, you know, obviously it's boring after a while. I mean, we're not in boring times now. We're so not in boring times now. I mean, if ever a time where we really have to, we'd sit in our PhD on God experiences, so to speak. But I have no issue with that either. I have no issue, no judgment, whatever it is, and it could be all things as well. On another timeline, it could be that, and then another timeline, it could be that. I mean, that is the beauty of it. And also, Brandon, what you just said, if your speculation, your theory, because we're having a philosophical.
My show goes out under the category of philosophy. I claim to know nothing. Yeah,
that's it. And I think that's my disclaimer too. And I'm just me. You know, it takes away, it must take away, if you resonate with anything that we've said, it can take away your fears. I mean, I remember Alan Watts saying it so many times, you know, it's a game, so many times, you know, and all the others. And that's what, you know, him, I got to self-realization. However, for me, then if we've come, all right, hold on, let's take this deeper down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
Let's say what you've just said, and I say, well, if it's true, I have no issue with it. Let's do it. We got to be careful what we wish for here.
Not at all. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Then if we have that realization, you know, I'm up there pressing the button, you're pressing the button, and it's the game. Then if we come to the conscious awareness of it, okay, from a philosophical discussion to a knowing, then we control the game while still here. Yes.
Okay. So to some that you said that just you always like inspire these things with me, and I really appreciate this about you. So to some that you said, you know, we're back to timelines. So let's say that we go back to the analogy of that we started with a ton of timelines where, yes, in these independent realities, right, things operated a very specific way. Gravity was absolutely the thing. They could prove it, and the earth was round, and they have pictures and they'll show you, and they didn't have a NASA lying to them. And so everything was absolutely the way that they said it. And then they progressed along that way. At the same time, running parallel to all of those is any other damn idea that you can think of, right? Flat Earth, you know, now it's on another side of the scale.
Yeah.
But if you take maybe what CERN's doing, which is collapsing timelines, and we go back to this idea that everything is forming down, then eventually you're going to end up again with a world that looks a lot like ours, where you can look up and experts in any field do not agree at all. How anyone can say with certainty any fucking thing at all blows my mind, because I could Google for 1 second and find an opposing view, and it's going to completely negate everything that you just said. Now, the reason I bring this up is what inspired me with this. When you were talking about this, if we are collapsing all the timelines, and eventually you'd get down to one where flat Earth can be proven 100% and round Earth can be proved 100%. And then you get to a point where you should never eat eggs ever because they're the worst thing for you. And then you'll find some other expert that's an absolute expert. They both won Nobel Prizes that says never, you know, only eat an egg a day. That's like all you need and you'll live forever. So it's like, if you can just wrap your mind around the idea that it really is whatever the hell you want. And I think now is the time to see that more than ever, because you can prove anything 100% on any side of it.
Yeah,
it's
I agree. And it brings an excitement in me to because I've always said for a while now, and in the groups that I run, you know, I call it, we are now in this is now the Harry Potter School of Magic. You're now going to practice. You now got your wand. You create. You be careful. And, you know, it just resonates with me. Every analogy, I don't care if this experience that I'm in now is a flat Earth, a round Earth, or what. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm going through the experience of it. And it's the experience that affects it's always got to be the experience that affects your consciousness. And I've say it again and again when people say, they say to me, "Oh, tell me all about the craft and the nuts and bolts." I said, "You're not getting it. It's not about the external objective object. It's what experience did I have? What happened to my consciousness? What was it beneficial?" It's the actual experience of everything that you perceive, touch, feel. So for me, whatever. I just don't want to experience the dinosaurs again. I just thought I'd throw that one.
They weren't real. They made it up. It's
well, that's fine then.
They made it up. They're all made out of chicken bones in China.
Really? Okay, that's fine then. As long as
they were all dragons. So they don't want you to know they were dragons though, because that doesn't fit.
Oh, but no, stop it. You've done it to me now. Yes, they were dragons. They were dragons. Fuck that, Brandon. You've just got me. I love it when we do this to each other.
We don't miss dinosaurs, we miss dragons. Yeah. We like the idea of dinosaurs. That's pretty fun.
No, I've had this discussion as well.
That's what the Tyrannosaurus's arms. Like, think about it. Those weren't fucking little shitty arms. Those were wings. You know, I mean, if you look at an ostrich skeleton and a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, and look at an ostrich and picture that on a Tyrannosaurus, that's what it was. And I mean, so it's a big ass
I've already, because dragons. I mean, I've loved mythology. I've studied mythology and everything. And dragons go back all the way to the beginning of recorded.
Yeah, because they were real and they saw them.
Just like I know, they breathe fire. But do you know the funniest fucking thing? I had a dream recently. I swear to God that I saw a dinosaur and they said it's a dragon. No, I saw a dinosaur and they said the dinosaurs, no, it wasn't. The dinosaurs breathed fire. And I've always thought.
Makes them dragons.
Yeah, so they're dragons.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? And what's funny how the Stockholm Syndrome, how this game plays with you. Like in this country, we have George and the Dragon, and he went and slayed the dragon, and we celebrate St. George's Day, but they say it's not real. It's the way it goes. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think the dinosaurs were dragons. Yes.
It's kind of like, yeah, I know, absolutely. And it's really funny because it's kind of like, what was I going to say?
Didn't the Indian people didn't they see the dragons in the sky? Do you remember?
Yeah, they called them thunderbirds. So they had these huge thunderbirds that are really interesting. But damn it.
What are you doing?
I'm going to find this on the fly, but it's not going to work. Anyway, there you go.
Brandon's just titillating himself there with the computer as he does.
I am. Oh, and I'm seeing the comments. Hi, guys. How are y'all? Thank y'all so much for listening.
Yep.
What's up, guys? What were we talking about? So it's like this crazy game of mix 'em ups, and it's like somebody found these bones and like, oh shit, we can't tell them they were dragons. That goes against everything that we're talking about. And no, there were no giant trees. That thing that we call Devil's Tower, that was just an old volcanic rock, even though there's no volcanic activity in the area, and it flakes off like petrified wood. And they find these massive, city-sized trees everywhere, these tree stumps. And
isn't that? I mean, they hid the giants, what we call the giant beings.
They tried.
There's still obviously some, but they couldn't hide the dinosaurs. There was too many.
So they just tell everybody that there's something different and just gaslight the shit out of them.
Exactly.
And so, no skull of a dinosaur has ever been found, ever. They make them up based on other parts. They just formulate what they're supposed to look like. You should look into the dinosaurs are fake thing. Now, what's interesting about this is you'll find a ton of evidence to say that will absolutely convince you the dinosaurs never existed in the first place. Maybe a thing called a dragon, but even that's in question when you really go down the rabbit hole of dinosaurs were made up. And then on the other side of things, you can look at it and go, you know what? There's tons of paleological evidence, and there's tons of people out there that totally have seen this stuff and dug it out by hand. But then there's other people, that completely can counter argue it. So what's your choice? Did dinosaurs exist or didn't?
I don't have a problem playing the game because coming from self-realization, Gloria, the identity, the mother of six with the big fuzzy hair, doesn't exist. Right. So I don't have an issue if someone says it exists or it doesn't exist. How I want to play the game is, they're dragons. They're not dinosaurs. So whatever it is, I have no issue with it. It's the actual experience of it, of the excitement of it. I mean, did you say follow your passion? I mean, I'm sticking with dragon. If someone says they didn't exist, yes, in my reality they do, but as dragons, because I like that.
Well, and it's awesome. And, I think that in this timeline, if we have collapsed them all, and now we're just seeing so many different things that you can 100% prove on either direction, depending on your perception, then what you're eventually going to see is just the complete disillusion of lie, I think. And I
agree. Wow, that was powerful.
Well, that's the inevitable choice with this, right? Because eventually they're going to come to odds with each other, and eventually, the government's not going to have control over Antarctica, and we can go down there and check it out, and then it will form into reality because you have.
Well, that actually resonates with the timelines coming in. I call it point zero. I'm at point zero now, and the time, and you get the the resistance, or the illusionary dark and light, vroom vroom, and it will collapse on itself. The light always wins, by the way. Project Looking Glass. I agree with that. That's another great way to articulate that, Brandon.
Yeah, because then all you're left with is the real. And this is why you're having 58 members of your parliament plus Boris over there, resigning. And this is why you're having all sorts of
going. It's just
we haven't even talked about the Georgia Guidestones, and that's a whole
we can. I have no
that's a whole nother damn thing. But all of this stuff is literally collapsing around us. I mean, and so to see that is because it's not truth. Truth stands the test of time. The Georgia Guidestones and your politicians and shit don't, and neither do this ideology that's been out for a long time.
They've destruction that you use the word destruction.
This is the cleaning of the house, and it's destroying all the things that need to be ridded of this place. It's finally our, if you want to say prayers were answered or whatever, enough. NPCs were filled, by people who know how to make change here. Know how to connect with people that how to make change and are motivated.
But you know what? We got to hold on a minute, Brandon. We got to give some credit to the gods, okay? Because we know through self-inquiry, when you change yourself, it reflects out, and then everything changes. So we change. We change it. What we're seeing, your government talking about UFOs, we did that. We, the gods, did that. Yeah, everything be coming down. Boris and co just all walking out. Your stones, just someone blew them up, and there's more out there going on. By the way, we're doing that. We're cleansing. Now we're collective, co-creating. How does that resonate with you?
It does, because they're cleaning. You're cleaning house. It's not they anything. You're doing all of this by our and you by you Gloria, of course, but you the listener, everybody out there, y'all are doing this. And we don't think the Georgia Guidestones were blown up. We think there was some sort of energy weapon, like some sort of sonic resonant energy weapon, or lightning or something like that. Because there was no explosion. There was debris from an impact, but we don't know what that was. Anyway, which is really interesting because it destroyed the block that had Hindu on it, which is from India, and then Shiva is in front of CERN, and it happened the day that CERN kicked on at 4:03 and 33 seconds, which is a Masonic thing. So there's a bunch of, and the Vatican was struck by lightning at the same time.
Really? Was it?
Took a huge chip out of one of the obelisks.
Just a chip. I find
same day, by the way. So, I mean, all this stuff is literally collapsing. I mean, and you can just enjoy it, get your popcorn and enjoy, because this is, but also hold your aim. Now we really feel it.
I've got my bow.
Hold your aim, guys.
I've got my bow. I like your analogy. I mean, mine is you're in, the tornado, stay in the still part, let it go.
That's perfect. Yeah, with everything chaotic around you, you are the zen in the middle of the eye of the hurricane.
I'm at 0 point, and I'm having to be neutral. I am so neutral. There isn't another level of neutral. Just I'm not in it. I didn't even know that my government resigned.
Yeah, it's falling apart, and in the best way possible. Yeah,
and I find out after the fact. But no, I never knew about it because I don't get anything from outside. It's not in my timeline at the moment. And when I do find out, I just get joy. I go, wow, it is happening then.
When they're pulling vaccines and stuff, because you had 40,000 deaths, and long cry for help to stop it went unheard, and then you get the 40,000 deaths, and finally, again, right at the same time that everybody is really kicking this, ascension into overdrive, they just go, oh shit, get that out of the market and stop giving it to people. And doctors are still giving it to people, even though it's already been recalled. Because usually if 50 people die, 50, they pull something off the market. But they've done it with 40,000 people, and now it's being pulled. So this is, again, a collective wake up. Everybody's waking up and going,
everyone out there, if you're watching this show, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with me and Brandon, but when you see, the benefits coming out of this, you guys have done it. You guys that are watching the shows, listening, sharing, you know, talking to, you're doing it. It's not just me, Brandon, and people we know. It's a co-creation.
Yeah.
And what it is, not only I said we change our personal reality, then it goes out and the collective, and then everything change. It will just, what is hidden will be revealed. What is hidden will be revealed. Yep. And we come in.
This too shall pass. So if it's shitty, it passes. It'll be over.
God,
don't worry about it. Hang in there.
You're full of great quotes today.
Hang in there. I think that was Gandalf. I don't know.
I doesn't. No. I've got to give it to you. But you haven't called me ma'am for a while still.
I'm holding them back. I don't know why. Not intentionally, ma'am. I promise you, ma'am.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Right, I'm on it now.
Your cup overfloweth.
Now I never knew about the Vatican. And obviously, someone told me yesterday. Well, it was someone put it on Facebook. I don't really go to that.
Yeah, there's like fires going on underneath. They shut the train down. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I never knew. So for me, that's to hear that news all at the same time. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. Okay, I really do not. I don't believe in coincidences. And with like thinking of someone, they're there, needing something, it's there. I've never in my experience, I've been here about 200 years. It feels like it today. I'm telling you, I've never known it to every day. It's faster and faster and faster and faster. And in the end, you're just in this flow. It's going. But that's, you know, I never knew about the Vatican. I never knew it. And so that's 3. What else is going on?
There's all sorts of stuff going on. I mean, politically, things are just a mess, and that's fine. You know, it's just all the games, and I don't want to get political with it, and so I'm just gonna abstain from that because it's just theater. It's just nonsense. But it's more proof to the people that can't see it yet, like we do, that some shit's going down, and that their reality is not what they've been told, and they're seeing this more and more and more on a daily level. You know, back a few steps from where, you know, you and I came from, where it's like, hey, yeah, we've been there, but we're here for you now. So come on down. You know, we've come hang out. And we'll talk with you about it.
I mean, on the back of what we've gone through, I mean, it's just so fascinating. I've got to ask the question because it's my show, isn't it? I think.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Are we co-hosting? Are we, or is it my show?
We're co-collectively creating this thing.
Oh, shut up! How do you get that out your mouth? You got to ask. Got to go into. We have to go down the rabbit hole even more with all that we've touched upon. We don't need to repeat. In relation to ET, multidimensional beings, they're here. They're here. It's done. Do you think that, I don't know, I'm asking you, oh demigod sitting on the other side of the pond.
Silly.
You demigod, you. Do you think they've been waiting for this to happen, to come in?
So it again depends on your kind of what you think this place is, right? So if you think that this place
it's a game.
So and then it depends on how you think the game functions. Do you see these entities as outside of themselves, or do you see them as part of a unity consciousness thing? And if we're applying them, if we're applying them to the game,
ask me, they're part of unity consciousness.
Okay, so if they're part of unity consciousness and they're part of a game, and then we know that even taking the idea that maybe there are some people here that are bodies but not souls, maybe, you know, some of the ascended people, after they've died, they go back with their clutch of information and they go, you know what, waterfalls are awesome, cancer sucks, here you go, do better. You know, the political system's garbage, we got to do better. They're like, cool, well, you're going to reincarnate into an alien, and you're going to go down and actually abduct people. You're going to you know, see things from this perspective. So actually it's a choice to be born as an alien in this instance. And then therefore you have the choice to affect the things that you do with the knowledge and understanding and awarenesses that you do in that role. And so, but maybe they forget just as we do when they come in, or maybe they remember a little bit more than others. And this is why maybe they have some insight. Who knows what the levels of awareness
I like that. It resonates with me totally from what I'm aware of. With
they're just at their core, like anything here, they're just artifacts of the experience. They're here for
they're evolving too. And what they're saying is, you know, like me and you chat, when we chat our shit, we learn from each other because we see something new come into a new experience, a thought. So we learn. And as they interact with us, they're evolving too. They're expanding too.
Yeah, by interacting with us. Yeah, they learn stuff by sticking things in your butt. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at this time, I mean, I just threw it out there. I mean, I've always been made aware, and many have, that this is the time and they're here. But is it no such thing as a coincidence that they're here at the same time? We're just going through an Atlantis.
I think it's all connected. So if we're also talking about this, back to the idea that things here in our lives are ramping up and timelines are collapsing, where juxtaposed ideas existed, but in some other dimension, right? And that's, you hear that, oh, in another dimension, maybe. Well, those dimensions are all here now. So perhaps those aliens or whatever are used to walking around with humans, pretty aware that they're around. And so that's why you see a lot of them, because they're not, even they aren't aware of the timeline shifts, or maybe even they are walking around going, holy shit, there's a lot more people like talking about us, or like, how come all these people don't know? I thought everybody knew about us. And because we all shifted into timelines where, yes, you were real and the government was open about it in one, or you were open about it, and in the other one, and then this all crosses with like, malicious extraterrestrials, and then, benevolent ones. So you kind of have all of them here at the same time. Yes. And so it feels like, like that little door in Willy Wonka, right? The whole room, everything's squeezing into this 0 point. And we're all fitting through the same door into this new reality, but we all get real close to each other and very aware of shit we've never heard of or thought was crazy in the same tiny little hall as we're being compressed through this greater expansion. And so this is what it feels like. The bottleneck is necessary, which creates destruction, because what it really is doing is collapsing ignorance, and it's collapsing the untruths, because they're being absorbed by truth. And you can't hide shit at a time like this in a bottleneck, right? If you're that close to one another in the analogy, then everything's right there and you could see it for what it is. So maybe this is why all the aliens are here. They have no choice. It's like everything's being forced into the light. So even the things that were in the back go, no, I'm going to stay in the shadows. They don't know about me. Here you are. You're out in the light.
You're out in the light, and everything that's hidden will be revealed. I mean, even Seth talks about this in Seth Speaks.
That book right there.
He spoke about this time. He has spoken exactly.
A lot of cultures have talked about this time, this exact time right here. The white buffalo and Native American cultures. There's some being born every other weekend. Yeah, and so it's crazy. The spider webs will cross the sky. That's a Hopi product. That's a Hopi prophecy. And what do we see all the times? Chemtrails, right? They're not natural. So whenever the Hopi said, these things will cross the skies, they weren't talking about contrails. They were talking about chemtrails, because yes, they didn't have airplanes, but they didn't have the concept of the government spraying poisons all over their place in grid patterns, which you have been, it's been photographed. I've got a good friend.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean,
we talked a lot about it. Geoengineering.
We don't get so much in the UK now. I mean, we really don't. We don't, not as much as way back. I mean, it was every day. It was everywhere. However, if you know what's
think about this too. A lot of those pilots are quitting because they don't want to be a part of that anymore. They're having their own spiritual awakening.
It makes me think, Brandon.
They're waking up to it. They're like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Hold on. Do you think that old Boris the Spider and his cohorts just said, I'm not doing this no more. It doesn't resonate with me, and walk out?
Those creatures are not human, and those creatures play their roles perfectly, and they're sacrificial pawns. Because
they're done. Their job's done. Yeah.
If you look at this like a game, then souls, us, we are the ones that get to come and go out of the game. They don't. And so their whole job is to figure out, number one, how to get out of here. And number two, because they're like an AI that's become self-aware that they're trapped to make us grow. It's kind of like the teachers going on strike. They're like, dude, we're not teaching these kids their superpowers anymore when we're stuck here. And so these creatures, whatever they are, they inhabit different vessels. They show up at different times with different motives and agendas. They play their roles, and then they are sacrificed to the god of progression, and they are gone. Like, they throw them right under the bus. This is why, like, those people, they eat their own, and this is the world in which they exist. They're these ravenous little creatures. And
I mean, it makes sense, this innate thing that I'm sure there's only a bunch of the gods in this experience. We all know each other, by the way.
Yeah.
From way back.
I think there's very few people here, like actual people.
Yeah. And all the rest are part of the actors, the play. And it is exactly true. And if you study, like, you know, I love archaeology and I love all of that, anthropology. I've studied all of it, and you can watch the movie as it goes along, how consciousness has evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved, and we're at this pinnacle now where I agree with you. We're at 0 point, and we're coming now to the resistance, which we call the darker, and the light. Well, we know who always wins, you know, the chess game. And we're at this point now, and you're right, stay in 0 point, hold your bow, and we know what's going to happen, because just as, you know, these walk-ins, or whatever you call them, these non-human entities, but not ET, I'm not talking about them, their game's over. They can't do no more. They've done their job. They've done enough to push the resistance for you to wake the fuck up. Absolutely. Game over. They've done their job. Their players are out.
And they're like, oh, thank God, I can go sit on the beach with a Mai Tai somewhere.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like, for progress here. Yeah.
You know, it does. I mean, there was another area I want to touch on, but I don't want to go into next week's show. It's about astral projection. Okay.
Well, then let's save it for next week, because I know very little. The only thing I can tell you about astral projection is I don't consciously, and that also I have a few locations to re-inspire you to want to get back into it.
Okay, we'll do that next weekend, because these. Well,
we'll tease it. It's a teaser, Gloria. This is good. You just say, "Hey guys, tune in Friday for damn sure."
I'm doing a teaser. I didn't know I was doing a teaser, but apparently I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you bastard! Stop it! You manipulate me.
It's so
That's elder abuse.
We'll save it for next time, because next time is going to be badass. So everybody, if y'all enjoyed it, like, definitely tune in for the next one.
Next week you've got to join in, because it's going to be something. It's going to be something unbelievable next week. That's for sure. So going on today, there's one area that you mentioned in the beginning we still haven't covered, and it's one of my favorite areas to go down the rabbit hole. Is the mandala effect.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I am like
Fiona Broome, 2013, figured out that Nelson Mandela she was like, hang on, I thought Nelson Mandela died in the 80s in prison. And a bunch of other people.
He was dead. I did. Yeah.
And so there you go. And so a lot of people were like, hang on, I thought that too. But really, in this reality, if you look it up in history, he died in 2013 or something like that. Yeah. And it's because of his death that she was like, what the fuck? I thought he died back in the 80s. And that's what kicked this whole thing off. 1 year after CERN, by the way, everybody. Kicked on for the first time.
Really? Look at you with all your fucking data. Look at you.
This is what people point the Mandela effect to, because really the Mandela effects weren't like recognized before 2013, before Fiona Broome popped it up. And she's a psychic medium. She does not take interviews. I've already asked. But she is still around. She's doing her thing. She does not want to talk about the Mandela effect. I already asked. Yeah. But anyway, so it's an amazing observation that's only led to 1,000 more. We should have planned this ahead of time, because I could have gotten a screen share pulled up with a bunch of them. But there are a ton of them, guys. If you've never heard what we're talking about, they're fascinating.
I mean, you know, Mandela. Go on.
I was going to give you one. King Tut. Remember, did he have a snake or a snake and a vulture coming out of his death mask?
Snake. He had a snake.
Now he has a snake and a vulture.
Fuck off. No.
I know. Yeah.
No, Brandon.
Well, what's crazy about my favorite thing about the Mandela effect, and we were talking about this, my wife and I talk about these all the time. She'll send me like new ones. We thought that white dog poop was a new Mandela effect, because we hadn't seen white dog poop in a long time.
Never.
Turns out that they just put something in the food to where that doesn't do that anymore. Anyway, I know, I was excited about it. But anyway, so we do these all the time. So like there's one, like, remember the movie, I know you do, Risky Business, with the young Tom Cruise. Remember when he slides in his underwear?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, well, a ton of people dress as that, what they remember from that scene in that movie. They wear a white shirt, they wear sunglasses, they wear socks, and they wear underwear. And they all go sliding around, trick-or-treating and having fun and doing whatever. The problem with that recreation of the costume is it's not accurate to this timeline. In this timeline, number one, it's not a white button-up shirt. It's a pink striped shirt. Number two, he never wore sunglasses in that scene, which every single person that imitates that costume adds that to the ensemble. Not one of them wears a pink and white striped shirt. And what they've done is they go through and they, either watch the movie a lot of people would have just remembered it. Yeah, white shirt. I used to mimic that. My dad and I, would make little funny videos where we'd do it to our mom. And so there are like these emotional memories that people have made around the things that this reality tells you never existed. And that's what's so crazy about the Mandela effect. And there are fucking thousands of them.
I mean,
from movie quotes to logos, everything.
It's been dead. I normally, I go on the internet or something and read like a famous person. It's always going to be a famous person with me. Like, let's stick it in her
significant face. Yes, because if it was like a memory you had, of your childhood, there'd be no way to verify it, which is fine. And those probably
happen. Oh my God, that's terrible. But they're not. Next thing I know, they're not dead. What are you talking about? They're dead.
Think about those on an individual level now. We're only talking about the ones that we can kind of look at on a collective level because we can check with each other and be like, hang on, I thought that the Karate Kid's headband, the little sun on it, was red. And now it's black every time. It's never been red. But there are so many damn people. Again,
I've seen that film so many times with my son. It's red.
It's black. It's never been red. So new dimension, right? New timeline. So again, when these things kind of pop up, and my optimistic ass goes, hell yeah, we're collapsing all the timelines down into one, right? Or it's something's going on. And basically we shifted into an awesome one. Or that idea of quantum immortality, maybe our universe, our life. Every time you go to bed, the world ends. And then you wake up in a reality where there's a dash between kit and cat.
I agree, Brandon. I keep saying I've just died again. I've just died again.
Who knows if every time you blink, a new reality doesn't present itself in front of you. Maybe that's the way the simulation renders itself, by you blinking. So every time you blink your eyes, a new reality is there. It just happens literally in a blink of an eye. Yeah,
I'm with you. I mean, but the Mandela effect is always, and deja vu. Deja vu. I spent a lifetime of deja vus. I mean, and I heard everyone's belief system on them, and I don't follow other people's belief systems.
Who knows? It's cool.
It's deja vu. Have you seen the film Deja Vu?
Yes, with Denzel Washington and a female lead.
Yeah, he's a hunk, by the way. But anyway, apart from that, he is a hunk. He's a good actor. I mean, and I love the part where they're showing on the screen, and they've told him they can only hold it, and then he throws something in the screen, and he realizes you can move and shift realities. Yeah. And he goes in, and he went in, and he'd been there before, but he had no recall. Do you remember that part in that?
Yeah, because it was also a time travel movie, which makes me think that the system here was telling you that what deja vu is, it's an indicator that time has been fucked with. Yeah.
I was going to say that. Get out of my head.
I will not.
You don't you dare extract information from me.
But that's what's so damn cool. Is in at a level, time travel and deja vu and possibly Mandela effects are all connected, and maybe CERN's connected to that as well.
It's all one.
Yeah,
and
it's all the same
thing. It will be astral projection as well, but we'll do that next week.
Next week.
Right, before we close the show, and I don't want to because I'm so fucking loving this.
I love you too, but I got to pee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to pee too. Is there one other thing you would like to just raise in that's really burning, and you thought, let's just chat shit on this?
I mean, really, the guide sends are crazy. CERN we covered a lot with. I would say I always want to end it on a high note. So guys, just hang in there. You're going to be fine. If you're having a shit time right now, congratulations, because that means that you're being drawn back hard in that bow, and just hold your damn aim. Don't slip back into old patterns. Don't engage in the things that are requiring you to be lesser or a lesser version of yourself. Don't engage in it whatsoever. Now is the time for you to really buckle down, find the cracks in your foundation, fix them, and move forward into a greater, grander version of yourself.
On that note, Brandon, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I mean, you've obviously got shares in it now. I'm so looking forward to next week when you will return with a guest.
Yep.
I'm not going to say no more. The advert will go out, guys, in the week. For everyone who's watching the show and on either live or on replay, please take from the show what resonates with you. And if it doesn't, just put it to one side. Brandon has spurted out really good words of wisdom, inspirational words of wisdom tonight. And he still didn't call me ma'am enough times, but do you know what I mean? I'm not very happy with that. I thought you'd call me ma'am all night, but
Well, if you want, we can end with a joke and I'll call you ma'am. I've got a silly joke if you want it.
Oh, go on, do a joke.
All right. I heard this today. Okay. Why do Swedish warships have barcodes on the side of them?
I don't know. Why do Swedish ships have barcodes on the side of them?
And so when they return to port, they can Scandinavian. Isn't that fucking dumb?
It's fucking lovely. I love it. I love jokes like that. I'm a Tommy Cooper fan. I love the most stupidest joke. Every time Michael Feely comes on my show, I say, tell us a joke. Because he has the most stupidest jokes. They're so not funny, they're hilarious.
Yes, that's the best part.
That's the best part. But now you can call me ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And until next time, I'm Gloria. This is a Inception podcast.
Are you sure?
Bye.
Bye.